start that. I'd like to welcome everyone to the Emmaus Borough Council meeting. Please rise for the pledge of allegiance. Thank you, John. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At this time, we'll have personal appeals part 1. If there's anyone in our audience that would like to make a personal appeal, just stand up, state your name and where you're from, and what your appeal is. Is there anybody here? Okay. So just state your name. Is there a sign-in sheet, Sarah?
Yes.
So there is a sign-in sheet then that you can fill out later with your name and address. But for the record, if you could state your name and address and what your appeal is.
Sure. My name is Dalton Link. I'm on 403 South 4th Street, and the member commissioner of the Shade Commission.
Rebecca Strauss, 733 West Greenleaf Street, also with the Shade Commission.
You need to adjust the camera for.
Thank you.
And if you could just speak a little louder, this is our speaker right here, so it has to pick you up.
Excellent. Okay. So again, my name is Dalton. I've been living in Emmaus just for 2 years.
Becky, I've been here, I think, 3 years now. Also, Dusty Springer is a member of our commission. She was able to join us tonight. But we just wanted to come introduce ourselves because we are a pretty new commission. Rez and Doug were our senior members of the commission who recently retired. And we are just in need of more arborists or tree professionals and also commission members to come join us. The 3 of us that are remaining are not tree experts, and their bylaws or the ordinance states that we must have 2 tree experts on the commission. So we have kind of exhausted our avenues of trying to reach people with our networks. So, sorry, talk louder.
Just a little bit.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, so we have exhausted our networks of trying to reach people, and we just wanted to come to you as council because I know that we're all so connected in the borough, and you know, if you have anyone that you know.
I don't know if the fall newsletter went out, but it will go in. Did it go out yet, Shane, or the final cut for it?
No, not yet. We definitely need to put something out there. The other thing is Mrs. McManaman, I know, has been working tirelessly in trying to recruit some arborists, and I know what our ordinance says as far as we need an arborist on the commission, but we're kind of looking at it as, you know, it's a very specialized profession, and we have some people that work in the borough but aren't borough residents that I think would be interested in acting in at least some kind of consulting role with us that will help us. But Ms. McManaman, I don't know that we're quite ready to really speak too publicly about that yet, but she is kind of leading the charge and trying to help us with that piece of it. Is we're very much aware, you know, with Reds, as you'll see later in the agenda, retiring, that definitely leaves that gap there.
And I was able to go, I met with them at their last Shade Tree Commission meeting, and we discussed some of the options that I had found out, and they had a few of their own as well. Now we would be calling these consultants and or an expert panel.
So that's a temporary solution, and hopefully we get a permanent solution
Correct.
with the newsletter.
Yes.
I just have a question. Where do you find these experts?
There are local tree service experts, Bartlett being one. We have a relationship from past years with Irvine's Lawn and Garden Center. So we have some connections, but again, the way the ordinance is written currently, it is very restrictive. So this kind of leads me to the next part of why we're here is we're working on adjusting the ordinance with regards to our citizens, the public works, and executing the ordinance in whatever capacity, and also to ourselves as volunteers acting in this role. So we hope to keep things going and kind of plant trees for the borough for years to come.
Yeah, so we're hoping to put together some recommendations of how we think the ordinance could better serve the whole community and take that to the Public Works subcommittee when we're ready. And hopefully we can make some adjustments that'll make it just easier for us to all work together and also just make it easier for our citizens to enjoy trees and maybe not feel adversarial to having a tree on their property.
Yeah, so what I will warn the commissioners of is, so this isn't one of those ordinances where we just make it up as we go. The Pennsylvania Borough Code is very specific on the Shade Tree Commission and the ordinance. So as you're looking for recommendations that you want to make in terms of changes to the ordinance, the first thing that you're gonna need to look at is, what does the Pennsylvania Borough Code say about it? Because I think what you're gonna find, unfortunately, is a lot of what our ordinance said is verbatim out of that Pennsylvania Borough Code. It isn't necessarily, as you had said, you want it to be a little bit more welcoming than adversarial. The Pennsylvania Borough Code is written in such a way that it kind of forces that, what you're seeing in what our ordinance is reading. So what I would just suggest is, when we start looking at it, we need to pull out the Pennsylvania Borough Code to compare what our ordinance says, because there are things that we have to have in that ordinance as per that Pennsylvania law.
And Shane, I'll add to that. We did this ordinance since I'm on council. The general administration went through that whole ordinance and rewrote it what we could. Late 2000s, I believe.
So 2012, Brent, because it was like my first week here that you guys started writing it.
Okay.
Yeah,
It was still on.
yeah.
So anyhow, my point is, we went through that, and the committee, like we always do at our committee level, we worked through all the questions and went through the solicitor. We did all that, and it went through council, and we just approved that within the last 10 years. Well, I don't think there's any issues that need to be.
Well, I think though that Rebecca and Dalton have a point in terms of, I do think there are probably some things, especially with membership. I think the membership thing is kind of tough. But again, we have to, as you're looking at it, I don't want you to waste your time and try to make all these changes and then we turn around and go, yeah, but the Pennsylvania Borough Code says, I would prefer us to look at the Borough Code as you're wanting to make recommendations of changes, because that's where the real restrictive piece of that ordinance comes from.
Okay, we'll look into that. That's helpful.
So maybe you have your ideas of what you would like to change. Maybe just check in with Shane before you put too much effort into it and find out that it can't be changed. So I would suggest that.
Thank you. No, it's very
Shane, would you like me to email you a copy of that you can send to them, or can you pull it yourself?
Yeah, I have it, Jason. Thank you. Dalton and Rebecca, what I would just suggest is, do me a favor. I'm getting ready to go on vacation for a couple of weeks, but send me an email of exactly what we just talked about, and I'll get you that section from the Pennsylvania Borough Code as a reference point.
Okay.
excellent. That'll be very.
Okay.
All right, and thank you for what you do, because there's not a lot of people jumping in to do that. So we appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, at this time, we'll have Sarah unmute our virtual guests. If anybody online has a personal appeal, you just have to speak up. If you can turn your video on, that'd be great, and state your name and where you're from. And now would be the time to do it. All right, hearing none. We'll move on to a community minute. Does anybody have anything to bring forward?
Just a quickie, Passport to History is this weekend. All of our houses, historic sites will be participating, as well as the Historical Society. It is from 10 to 4, both Saturday and Sunday. And it would be great if everyone can come out and take a look at our historic sites. They've been cleaning up inside and outside, and it should be a very fun event.
Thank you. Also, for the record, since I didn't state it, Councilman Shane kind of touched base on it. Councilman Andrews is not present. We have Councilman Balliet on Zoom, and we have our solicitor and our borough manager on Zoom also. So just for the record. All right. For a community minute, I attended the ribbon cutting for Mantra Massage and Spa, I think it is, behind Bliss Paint. A lot of people there. They're very excited. It is a woman-owned business. They are extremely excited, and I think that's gonna be highly successful. They look like they got a really nice place, nice setup there. So I would suggest checking it out. If you want to treat yourself to something nice or a relative or for a gift or something, that's a place to maybe consider. So, all right, anybody else in the meeting?
I just want to say that I attended the Large Flower Heads concert in the park. So we continue to have concerts Friday and the Triangle and Sundays in the park. The Large Flower Head said it was their largest crowd
For the year?
of the year.
Nice.
It was very well attended. All the concerts have been well attended. So I just want to thank that entire committee, which is a new and hardworking committee who've been putting on these concerts for us.
Great. Anybody else? Committee minute?
Well, while we're talking about businesses, I want to mention two things. First of all, the new candy shop in the downtown, man, every time I pass by it, that place is hopping. My daughter discovered it last week, and that was, yeah, that was a mistake. The other thing I want to mention is, as some of you know, or maybe you don't, but Joe's Pizza is going out of business. But a new pizza shop is opening up, I think Wednesday already. So we have a very quick changeover in a business over on 6th and Chestnut.
All good stuff.
Just a reminder, Family Fun Night and open house is coming up August 2nd. From 6 to 8, the police department, come out and dump Councilman Valiant.
Get some hot dogs
Get hot dogs.
and listen to some music. I'm playing the music.
Yes, you are. Come on out and have a good time.
All right, thank you. Anyone else? All right, we had a special presentation tonight. We had Brent Boyer from the Aquatic Facility Design Incorporated with the swimming pool study. If you could, I'm going to ask that maybe you can keep it to a half hour and give us the highlights. I did look at most of the highlights in the 125-page report.
Yeah, that's a lot goes in there. I will keep it to a minimum. Can everyone hear me okay?
Hear you great.
What I'll do is just what you said. I'll keep it to the highlights and try to be even less than that, but I will stay and answer any questions, of course, that you have for as long as you like. So Corey, can you can we show you our screen here?
Yeah, we just need to put the setting in so they can share the screen.
Can you see? the-
That's how it is.
Yeah, let's make it so we can.
Do it any other way.
Can you see our report page? You can? Okay. Well, if you can see the report there, of course, this began just pre-COVID and it's just recently completed. And what it involved was we did a physical survey of the facility. We were there several times while it was operating. I was there actually just recently again upon the wrap up. So we were there physically while it was operating, while it was closed. And I've worked for you for a number of years, so I've seen it quite a few times. We had the pool drained. We were inside it. We did core borings. We bored through the concrete shell to test the concrete. And we conducted public surveys. There were public meetings, as some of you know, to gain input from citizens. We also did key person interviews. We did surveys of existing facilities in the area, and all of this was intended to gather information and assess what you have physically and program wise, and also then what are the desires and trends around you. What types of programs and improvements would you want to make long term? And the data is all contained, and all the backup data and the survey results and so on are all contained in the study. And we will get then kind of jump to the conclusion of the physical plant part of that, and then talk about the costs a little bit. Corey, can you jump, please? We're going to jump to a few pages here. Jump to the existing facility, the other document. Go to the. Okay, we'll go to the, skip the picture and just go to the, or is it not showing that page of the existing, the drawing?
It's not. I'd have to. Just shows the updated one.
Okay, for some reason, it doesn't want to let us show the one picture. Hold on, we'll take just a second here. Can you jump to the, go back to this, go into the study and show the existing drawing. There you go. Okay. So here's your existing pool as you know it, just to refresh you. You have your wading pool. You can see the little hand moving around. And you have your main pool. You have your bathhouse, your concession. What we found code-wise with your main pool is your physical structure is in pretty good condition. The core borings and et cetera showed that the physical structure of the pool is sound when we bored through the concrete. You have a lot of life in there. It was built well when it was constructed. It is not in by construction ADA compliant, but you have, by that I mean you don't have a ramp or a set of ADA compliant stairs, but you do have a drop-in ramp and a set of drop-in stairs, and you also have an ADA lift. So the ADA lift is here, sorry. So you are actually, you know, ADA compliant, but really ADA wants you to have these not be drop-in. They're really meant to be fixed type components. But you basically are ADA compliant as far as the everyday use of the people. These lanes, these 50-meter lanes, were found in the area to be kind of unique in your area, in that other pools around don't have them, and you use them quite a bit with your swim league. So these carry across into the new design, and we'll get into the new design in a moment. But code-wise, you're really not too bad in the main pool, and you're not really too bad in condition-wise in the main pool. It's really about kind of how it's used and how it's broken down for usage that it lacks a little bit. You also have an issue with your main drain not being Virginia Graham-Baker compliant in that it's a single drain. Over in your wading pool, a wading pool by design can only be a beach entry to be ADA compliant. You have a drop-in ramp that allows people, of course, to use it. But a wading pool, again, by law, can only be a beach entry to be compliant. You have an issue there, again, with a single main drain. Otherwise, structurally, it's not too bad. But you are lacking a lot of amenities, and it's not really convertible to a beach entry, which the ADA codes want you to be. Your bathhouse, go to the existing bathhouse plan, please. Your bathhouse isn't as in good a shape. Structurally, it's fine, but you're missing a lot of features. If you take your pool and you go by the codes, which is all listed in the report here, and I can cite that data if you like, but it's you have a user load for your pool capacity, and that is then translated to fixture counts in your bathrooms. You don't have enough fixtures in the bathrooms, and also it's a little bit poor condition in that there's signs that your roof is leaking, et cetera, the membrane roofing. You also don't have any family changing facilities, which are nice. Family changing facilities, in case you're not familiar with them, or changing rooms, it would be unisex or family rooms. So if you suppose you're a father with a daughter, or a mother with a son, or a wife with a husband that needs care, it's very difficult to use an all male or an all female bathroom. So these bathroom types are lacking in this design, and they would be added in a retrofit. Go to the concession, please. The concession building is actually in pretty good shape, and you run a really good show with the concession. It's well maintained, well run, and it's physically in good condition, but you lack access in from both sides. There's not good ADA access from both sides, and you're lacking parking around the area. So those are the main deficiencies, and we'll get to the rehab concepts and show you a little bit of what the study and what the public meetings decided to transform it into. Can you go to the new concept, please? So the result of all the above was, on the main pool, what you're doing is adding in an ADA beach ramp. You're keeping your 5 50-meter lanes. You're getting rid of the 3 longer lanes. You're adding seating with shade. You don't really have much shade around there now. These are benches, in-water benches with shade sails, 50 meters swimming. You would be adding another slide. I saw you added the zip line here recently, and you'd put a new slide in over here. So those would be maintained. You would keep your diving, and floatable features would be added to the main here. And one of the main features that you would change is your piping and so on. Although it seems sound around the pool is getting aging, you would replace the top with a stainless steel gutter system, which replaces most of the piping immediately. And so that would be a large mechanical change. You'd have new decking put around. Over here, you would have seating added and so on, more shade and more seating. But this allows more usage. It breaks it up into areas of people to play. You can lap swim here. You can lounge in these play areas here, a climbing wall. It breaks it down with more areas to do, but this design also keeps it open for other activities that you have currently with the fitness activities that go on at the pool now. And this design, some of you may have been present for some of these meetings. This design was one of quite a number. On this project, we went through an extra bunch of different ways to go about and renovate this pool. And it was decided in the end that everybody pretty much liked the shape you had, and just break it up into some other areas and add some features. So that's the good news. And the extra good news is that this was the least expensive option. So again, your base design is being reused, and you're refurbishing the structure, you're refurbishing the piping system, and you're adding amenities to the pool. Now, if you would go into the study then in the executive summary and in the dollars pages and budget pages.
Where are the lifeguard chairs designated on this diagram? Are they not there?
They are right here.
Okay. I wasn't sure because there were quite a few there.
What's that? We can make it a little bigger. You can see them there. Is that better?
So how many are in the pool then?
How many are in your pool? How many lifeguards?
With this design,
You would have to have 14. 14 lifeguards for the main pool, 2 for the wading pool, and none are required for the splash pad, but we recommend 2.
what do we currently have?
I have to jump back into your survey into your
We're near that.
data to find that. Well, you may not have near that, but you're supposed to, because your size of your pool really hasn't changed.
That's all right. I don't need that.
That's a problem with this study that's 100 and some pages long, is to go back and find it all. But in this case, by recollection, your number that you're supposed to have is virtually the same, because you haven't changed the size of this pool. So, how many you are operating, you don't always have to have a seat for each, but that's how many you're supposed to be posting at the pool by the Pennsylvania Department of Health Codes. Okay. The cost for renovation of this part of the pool is $1,250,000. $1,250,000 to renovate this pool with the decking and the piping changes. Okay, that's a lot of money, but it's also not a lot of money. A brand new pool this size is a minimum $3 million. Okay, so you're saving quite a bit by renovating this. The other then choice that was made as part of the study was to build a new wading pool. Some of the options that were presented was to have a wading pool inside and the main pool and that type of thing. Those were rejected. And I like this design. You would have a separate wading pool close to where the new one is, or the existing one is. If we go to that overlay, if I just scroll over. There you can see the pink is your existing. So you see the main pool didn't move or change, except for these benches. And your wading pool shifted over a little bit. Go back to the front side, please. So the new wading pool with the beach entry, a toddler slide, seating areas, again with shade, a caregiver's lounge, and various spray features throughout. And you have 18 inches of water, which is a maximum in a wading pool. And there, that portion would be $550,000. A splash pad was added in between. This is for ages 0 to 8. It's no standing water. Extra play features that is listed in the study as an option, but it would have to be done phase 1 in the option. And there you are at $450,000 if you added that in. Okay, your bathhouse. The renovations on your bathhouse to add the fixture counts that are required to and to fix the roof or replace the roof rather would be an additional $425,000. So if you built the main pool and if you built the wading pool and if you renovated the bathhouse, and then if you did some of these improvements to the concessions, which are, here's a concession building in the front, you're raising this section and adding a handicap ramp up to the front. You're raising this section on the park side and adding handicap ramp up the back. That's another $155,000. You'd be at $2,380,000 for the main renovation. Then you could add the splash pad on top. We also had an option to, can you find the parking area photo, please? Parking was examined. The only thing we could really suggest with the parking was if you wanted to add handicap spaces in here, or they could be put in here, you'd have to really remove that park. That was the only place that through our discussions and through the study process that we felt was feasible. We're not saying necessarily that you should do that. When I was there a weekend or two ago, again, while people were there, you know, of course, everyone knows there's really no parking around. Everyone seems to get there, of course, but that's the only place we could think of unless you start tearing something like this down, which seems not a good option. And you would add another $300,000, give or take, if you change that parking. We did not think you should move the whole facility. You have a lot there to work with, and you're talking many millions of dollars more if you wanted to move it. We didn't see any advantage to doing that. It seemed for the user numbers that you have and the way the public uses it currently and wants to use it, that the infrastructure that you have is suitable and in good condition. Can you go through here into the where it gives the code changes in the speed, the user loads, please. Okay. So your facility is really just dated in design, but the basic infrastructure is solid. Again, this pool you're reusing really in its entirety, just adding features and breaking it up into more usage. This pool you're replacing because you must replace it. The way it's built, it is not compliant, and to turn it into a ramp pool, the way the floor pitches and the other things that are going on with it, it's just not worth it. Your bathhouse is solid, needs a new roof, needs new fixtures, but will hold all the new fixtures. So you have a lot there to work with. And that is the basis of those designs. And that is the basis of the study. we're recommending, we understood through the process. I was told you didn't want to do this right away for various reasons. I think you could get by an easy 3 to 5 years the way things are and have to change very little if you didn't want to. Now, when I say that, technically, this wading pool, ADA is not usually viewed as a grandfather. The reality of it is, though, that you have a ramp which people can use and access it, even though it's not what the code wants. And they are almost never policed. And that doesn't mean that I'm saying skirt it. I'm just saying it's a fact that I've never seen anyone ever come out anywhere and say you must close this pool, especially since you have a ramp in. But you would want to you wouldn't want to invest money in it. You would want to reconstruct it the proper way. So that's why that is. That's why that is. Yeah. Yes. Your existing main pool has a patron load of 1,334 people. So it's a pretty large complex. So the study breaks this down into the main pool would be phase 1, the wading pool would be phase 1. If you wanted the splash pad, that would need to be phase 1 also, because you couldn't build the splash pad in there later. You'd be invading too much later. The bathhouse could be a phase 1 or a phase 2, but the concession stand should be phase 1. So those are listed in as well. And I'm not trying to shorten it too much, but that's it in a nutshell.
All right.
And then,
Questions with regard to the pool study?
sure.
Anybody?
I just want to mention that the rates for the pool and the season pass need to be updated because they did change. So you might want to check on that front.
So I did notice that, and I also looked at I think there were 5 pools listed. Albertus, you had Lower Macungie, you had Macungie, there was this aquatic swim club, maybe it was only 4. And I looked at their season rates. Even with our rate increase that we put in last year, we're still lower than all 4 of them. And significantly lower. So I hope our residents realize what a great deal they're getting.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, whoever asked the first question, I apologize, I couldn't hear it. But I heard you acknowledge it. What was the question that was asked?
I just mentioned that the cost of pool entry and the season pass rates are not current.
Our last budget, we increased the rates, and you have the old rates.
Oh, we have the 21 rates in there.
Correct.
Yeah, we can update those to 22. And things like, that's why that data is listed, that you can compare that and see. We don't really, it's not so much, normal that us or a company like us would tell you whether you should increase your rates or not. Every council, every community kind of has a different view of that. Most want to be self-sufficient, of course, and self-supporting. Some view it, though, as that they subsidize it from other sources and keep the entrance rates low. So that's something then internally that you would discuss if you wanted to change those or not. But we will update to the 22 rates.
Right. I have one other question. The prices that you have quoted, are they pre-COVID prices or current prices?
Current prices.
Okay, thank you. John, you have a question?
Yeah, did I hear you correctly in that the current pool is 6-lane, 50-meter?
Yes.
Okay, and you're changing it to 5, is that correct?
Correct.
Having discussions with local swim leadership about that. Most meets require 6 lanes.
Yeah, we did discuss that with them. They were part of this decision. And part of that evolution of this design was everyone involved, including that gentleman. What was his name again? His name is escaping me.
Tim O'Connor?
Yeah, but we've talked to him several times and he was part of this, and he agreed to removing the 1 lane. The reason for that was the ramp has to be a certain rise and run. Okay. for ADA for 1 and 12. You don't have enough room for the 6th lane here. And everybody wanted the ramp in here versus here. Okay. So he does not, you're not currently having meets. They didn't intend that. They're using it for training purposes, but you can have with less than 6, but that was done with their blessing, is how that was arrived at.
And Brent, I have one last comment or a question. The pool study with the parking lot where you put it, are you aware that it's a flood zone?
Yes, whether your permitting would allow that and so on would have to be viewed at that time, but that was the only possible location.
Brought up flooding. Is that addressed at all on this pool plan as far as protecting the pool?
We don't know a way to really protect the pool from that. And we are aware of that. I've been there after it was flooded. I mean, it's very hard to protect a site like this, to keep it from getting in nowhere with the creek right there. Seemed pretty much impossible.
Okay.
But other than acknowledge that it's a great annoyance and a deal of work when it happens, because of where it's built, almost impossible to rectify.
Okay, anybody else?
I just wanted to remind everyone that the reason why we contracted this work in 2019 was because we wanted to ascertain what the status of the wading pool was, the main pool, and if they were sound. And in summary, yes,
Yeah.
they are pretty good, which is probably
Better than-
Yeah, we were worried about that.
So that was one of our primary reasons. And then the other reason was to, since our community is starting to change, just to have a vision in the long run and to have a concept that we can use for grants, because we need to have one and study and a concept for that. So
I mean, this doesn't happen without grants, realistically.
exactly. So it's kind of the first step towards any improvements towards the area.
Well, thank you. Anyone else? Shane, you have anything?
No, just that, I think we did our best with getting public participation. I think it was a group effort. There's obviously, I mean, it's a big number, and I think that, as he suggested, you're not going to get it done tomorrow. I was pleasantly surprised when we did the core borings of the big pool, that it was as thick as what it was. We were afraid to even touch that baby pool, just based on the stories. The fact that, they say it was built inside of another pool, the amount of water that it loses. So they did not do a core boring of that baby pool, but it was pretty clear that it needs to be torn out and redone.
Yeah, the reason we didn't do the borings was because it's not rebuildable the way it is. You'd have to redo it. We did, if you go to the boring sections of the study, we did locate in one of the borings an old wall behind the main pool. So some old construction is left in there as well. And again, like was just mentioned, this was meant to be a design that in the future that you would be a goal, and was, I believe, a well thought out plan. Like Shane said, it's certainly a lot of money, but in the world of aquatics, it's also not. It's a very large complex, and I really don't know. You chose the most economical design. You also really don't have to do anything other than fix your roof, change and fix these 2 drains in the existing pool and the main pool. Again, the wading pool, I think I tried to explain that it's compliant, but it's not compliant. I don't think you're harming the public. They have a way in and out of it. But you wouldn't want to rebuild it. So you don't have a drastic immediate need, but it is definitely an asset that you have there. You want to maintain it and work towards
Yeah,
This fall, I believe would be long-term.
and it's important to note that this asset has been sitting here in this location and open to the public for over 70 years.
So Shane, that's a good segue for me. The only other comment I have, and Councilwoman, or I'm sorry, Madam Mayor and Councilman Dufresne, I think we're the only long-term residents on council here. The swimming pool, if you go from the railroad side, they used to open up where our trail goes through that used to be a whole grass section that was just for laying with blankets and stuff, which we removed when we put the trail in, and the trail gets used heavily. But you only have the grass hill on the west side. And I see with this design, with putting the splash pad and I guess you're calling it a wading pool, that pushes it even over further. Will we consider expanding the fence back another 5-10 feet to make more room for laying out?
So Brent, that's something that we can definitely take a look at, because we do have space over there on that
All right.
on that side that we could move that fence over and make that a
Yeah.
grassy area.
Over here you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, for the purposes here, we left it where it was to keep you in the boundaries that you had, because you have your other activities over here. But yes, you could move that over.
Because I did read that, and I did read some of the comments, and one of the comments was, growing up, they lost all the grassy, well, most of the grassy area. You had the hill yet, but that was my only point, that's all. It can be accommodated, I think.
Yes. Yeah, this design that you submit, you must narrow this down to one design for DCNR. Even though that's the case, it's not set in stone. I mean, we go to great lengths to pin this down so that you have a plan and a well thought out plan, but they do allow you to modify it. Things like your fence line and so on. You could even change your wading pool or change something else depending how long you wait. But the goal and what's asked for is to come up with this plan. And I feel from my experience, it's a good plan. You folks in the community ultimately chose it. I don't disagree with anything in it.
Well, thank you very much for explaining all that. I'm excited about it. We just need money now.
Yeah, and I think there are some things that we can address in the short term that aren't terribly. I mean, everything's costly, but I think there's some things from this plan that we do need to address in the short term. Especially some of the ADA access issues that we have. We need to deal with some of those, some of the bathhouse things. I think there are some things that we can probably do relatively inexpensive fixes.
We can do in-house, the roof?
Yeah, so that's probably part of the problem, Brent. We already did that.
Okay, so it needs.
When did you do the roof?
About 8 years ago.
Well, when we were just out there, we saw that evidence, and we looked up on the roof and we inquired about that, and we were not told that was the case. In fact, it seemed like it was still leaking unless we
you probably had a room full of people that haven't been here more than 5 years.
Okay.
Up there with you. But yeah, it was about 8 years ago we did a full replacement of that roof.
Okay.
It's been leaking.
I
ever
believe you,
since,
Shane. You think there's no chance that it's leaking, that something went bad?
I think the problem was we did it internally with the help of a consultant.
Okay. Okay. Well, would you want me? Should we verify that, or should we?
No. It definitely, that thing is leaking like a sieve. If you're there during a rainstorm, you need to walk around with a bucket.
Oh, it is.
No, we know for a fact that it's only an 8-year-old roof. We know that for a fact. I was here.
Okay, but it is leaking.
It's definitely leaking.
Oh,
Yeah.
good. Well, not good, but I'm glad we.
Yeah. Thanks, Brent.
Sorry about that. Okay.
All right. Anybody else for Brent?
Okay, and any further information you ever need, let us know. If you ever need blow-ups or other pictures of this, for fundraising or for groups, let us know. We'll provide those, and we will update the rates for 22.
All right, Councilwoman Baumgartner has something.
So I was noticing in the phase recommendations that primarily mostly everything is recommended as a phase 1. And I was just wondering if if like the wading pool, which is more of an ADA need, could be prioritized, or does it need to happen with the main pool if we were to make changes to that?
The reason I had the wading pool as a phase one is just because of the ADA issues. And also that the construction is, it could be a phase two, but it starts to get into with the ADA issues that you might get, somebody might bring up an issue of why you're not doing
Yeah,
it.
Brent, I think to clarify, I think she's asking the exact opposite. I think
Oh.
maybe what Miss Baumgartner is saying is, can we basically do that as a phase one, but that main pool improvements, like the plumbing in the main pool, can that be a phase two? You know, so in other words, because there are obvious structural issues in that baby pool, can we do that as a phase one and not do the improvements on the main pool at the same time?
Yes, and I'm sorry for getting that wrong. I have trouble hearing from back there. You could, yes. And if you wanted me to change that in the study, I certainly would. I could put that as phase one or phase two. We almost never like have that ask because everybody's pretty fixated on the main pool, but that is a possibility in this case. Yes.
I think we would be too, except there's okay, other than the plumbing and the benches, I mean, in reality, like we already bought half the fixtures in the past year. You know, the main pool is not really getting a whole lot done to it. It seems like it's a big number. I understand that, but it seems like it sounds like there's a more immediate need to fixing that baby pool.
And we could certainly just say in the study for the main pool phase one or phase two, and opens up that for you.
Anybody else? All right, thank you, Brent, appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you all.
All right, for the record, Councilman Hart's still in the room. So we have 5 council members present right now. At this time, we'll bring up the June 20th council meeting minutes. Would somebody like to make a motion to approve them? Councilman DeFrane, seconded by Councilwoman Baumgartner. Any corrections or additions? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed? There are 5 ayes. We have no decisions on bids. Communications, we have several. The first one's an event request for Passport to History, which is the Friends of the 1803 House. This is a reoccurring event. We'll refer that to staff. We have the cyclocross requesting, I don't know, how many years is it now? Close to 10, Shane?
Yeah, it's been yeah, about 10, as long as I've been here, just about.
So cyclocross is the course they set up around our compost / community garden and a soccer field. It's really neat if you ever checked it out. So that's a recurring event. We'll just send that to staff. The Emmaus Lioness Club scarf shower that they do on the Triangle. That's a recurring event. We'll send that to staff. We have an event request from the Jehovah's Witness. I'm going to bring it up and I'm going to ask the solicitor for some advice on this. So they're requesting Friday through Sunday, 10 a.m. to 3 p.m., July through October, weather permitting. There'd be 4 people manning a table, if I'm understanding this correctly. So basically, July, October, August, September, 4 months, and that's Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So every week. Mr. Solicitor, Jason.
Yeah, I'm looking at it as well.
So they have every right to be there, but do we have to grant them that many times to be able to go there on a regular basis like that?
No, you can ask that they apply each time like most people do. Like it's
So-
not your, go ahead, Shane.
Yeah, so Jason, the concern is there's a fine line between that First Amendment right and them using this as a mobile business, essentially.
Well, and that's what I'm saying. Like you're not obligated to provide, they're obligated to do one for each event. Like each time people submit one of these, it's for a singular event usually. Like they don't ask for a singular, you're not doing anything when these First Amendment questions come up, particularly in municipal areas, the issue is usually making sure you're not treating a non-religious or religious entity differently than you would be treating somebody else. In this case, you'd simply be saying, guys, we're okay with you doing this. You just have to submit it each time, and it's subject to review each time. That's what you would be doing.
Okay, so, but again, so, you know, there's one religious event that I can think of that we allow one time a year, right? It's a one-off, one occasion, and we inform them that if they expect 50 or more people at this event, they have to file for the
Special event permit.
the special event permit, right? This is okay. So, sorry. So you're telling me that, okay, well, then they're just gonna give me 400 pieces of paper, and now I'm gonna have to sort through every one. I guess the real question here is, like, we know that there's a fine line of what we can and can't regulate with them. We understand that. I think our point is simply, at least mine is, in the discussions I had with individual council members today, they raise the same concerns. And that's simply like, okay, now we're at a point where we're putting a fixed location in at our public park every week. At what point is that beyond the one-off special event kind of thing that we have?
You want a good answer on that? The answer is, technically speaking, if they meet the requirements each time they submit, they can do it. Or they can do one application. If they meet the requirements, we can't deny them.
Every Sunday, we had the farmer's market from 10 o'clock to 1 o'clock, but they're setting up and tearing down. So that whole time that they want to have a table, we already have other events and then tents on that whole triangle. So can we deny them every Sunday because of that?
Yes, there's somebody already scheduled.
Okay, and then my other question is, suppose we have just a regular business that says they want to set up a table at the triangle at the same times that they want to, and then we have the Jehovah's Witness or any other religious group that wants to set up a table at the exact same place. Are they treated the same or differently?
It's first come, first serve. You don't get to pick who speaks, is the way to put it.
So if we usually don't have somebody there and they apply to do this, both groups, a business and a religious group, can we treat them differently? Not differently, but
You treat it as first come, first serve in that case, provided it's a permissible use.
say that for a religious group too, say, no, you cannot set up there.
As long as you prohibit everybody, you can't pick and choose you cannot pick and choose the event. That's the best way to put it. If there's, I mean, for example, if somebody was putting up a show that was lewd or something like that, that would fall into an exception.
But are we calling this an event, or are we calling this soliciting for? I mean, they're soliciting. That's what they're doing. This isn't an event. This is a solicitation.
Very good. I disagree with you, Council, with all due respect.
So, Jason, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
So suppose we say, no, you can't put a table there. Is there anything preventing them from just standing there and handing a flyer out?
No.
Right, I didn't think.
Right.
So they can do it if they want. We just don't have to grant them a space on the triangle. They can do it because it's a public space.
Yes, but like I said, I'm just warning you, the only issue is if they decide to become difficult and say that this was done because of their religion, it could be a problem.
Our only other religious event that we have there is at midnight on Christmas Eve, not during normal use of the park. Does that change anything?
I wish I could give you I wish I could give you a better answer. I really do. But the truth is, they're not asking for something that you didn't. If a regular business was setting up there, I mean, I would argue that you could probably tell them you can't do it this often because it's too frequent, right? And I understand, Mr. Hart, you disagree, but the problem you have is.
Let's split hairs even further. You know, the event that they're speaking about is not comparable. They're not soliciting around Christmas Eve. All right, it's different. These people want to solicit every time they're there.
Well, and I mean, do we have a solicitation ordinance? If I remember correctly, we do.
Yeah, we do, but that speaks to the other problem, though, is the solicitation ordinance, you know, and we were advised by previous council that we cannot apply that to a religious affiliation because
Correct.
of their First Amendment rights.
Correct.
All right, so what I'm gonna, I don't want to debate this the whole night. I'm gonna send it to committee. I'll send it to Parks and Rec since it is on the triangle. And you can discuss that in your committee and
And what I'll do for everybody is I'll put together,
maybe a compromise, I don't know, once a month or something, but not 3 times every weekend.
I will put together the kind of case law that we look at on this, and you guys can, I'll give you the truth. You guys are going to have to make a decision. I mean, there's always a risk in these types of things. If you deny it, that they could say it's for religious purposes. That's the issue. It's a
Yeah, and I don't think the council would necessarily deny it. It's like, you might as well just move your church
frequency-
office
the
over here is
frequency-
the problem.
frequency is problematic.
Yeah,
Agreed.
that's the problem, is they're literally putting their church office on our park.
We don't have to be there that often. Nothing.
And I agree with you. I think that probably that it can be the speech can be restricted in reasonable time, location, and place. That
Okay.
is permissible under the First Amendment. And I think that would certainly be something you could say to them in this case. But I just want you to be aware of the potential issues. If somebody is doing this just to pick a fight, it could be something you end up spending money on litigating.
All right, so I'll send it to the committee, and at the very least, if they wanted to, at any time, they could go out there and hand stuff out if they wanted to. They don't.
Correct. They don't need to make this application.
Okay, all right, so you'll have that on your committee. Going back to communications. St. Anne's Church, hey, there's another religious organization that's been around a lot. They have their Fall Fest coming up. That's a recurring event. The staff will handle that also. We had a resignation from the Shade Tree Commission, and I think there's some words that need to be said. Reg Bailey, since the beginning of the Shade Tree Commission, he has been on it, and it is what it is because of him and everything he's contributed. And he's done a long time, and he's ready to retire, and it's deserved. And Shane, if you want to add to that, we'll definitely send him a nice thank you.
Yeah, so Reds has been instrumental in the community regarding shade trees for a long time, and he was our arborist, and we're talking for many years, long before I even became the borough manager 10.5 years ago. Reds has always been a community-minded person, has lived and breathed Emmaus. I wish him the very best. I appreciate his efforts and his dedication, and as the new commissioners were speaking this morning, or I'm sorry, earlier in the meeting, it feels like it was this morning. It's not all fun and games all the time with the Shade Tree Commission. Like, they're forced into situations where they have to enforce different parts of the law and tell people that, they have a bad tree, they have to remove it. He's had to deal with those things, and he's always dealt with it like a gentleman and a professional. And that's one thing that I'll always say about Reds, is people in the community really respect Reds, and I certainly do, for his hard work and his professionalism and dedication to the community. So I wish him the very best, and he's going to be greatly missed. He was an incredible asset to us.
Thank you. We also got a resignation from the Joint Environmental Advisory Council from what's his name? Joseph Romanowski. Unfortunately moved out of the borough or the area and is not able to serve now. We also got a resignation from the ambulance corps. Casey Bowder, is that how you say it?
Correct.
She was a part-time EMT, and she worked just under 3 years for the borough. So sad to see her go, but we can send a thank you to her also.
Yeah, and we're going to see several more resignations in EMS, because some of our young people here are fulfilling their career aspirations and going to med school or nursing school or paramedic school. So I think we have probably 2 or 3 more we're going to be seeing in the next 6 months or so.
Thank you. And lastly, the last communications from Seventh Generation Charter School. They're requesting to amend Chapter 15, Part 4, subsection 15 through 403, and subsection 15-401, 404.1 of the Borough Code. We'll send this to the Codes Committee, Public Safety, thank you. And, oh yeah, because it deals with parking, correct? Yeah, so we'll send that to Public Safety. That's your specialty. Yeah, that's your specialty. So, and does anyone have any other communication to bring forward that we didn't receive through our iPads? All right, hearing none, we'll move on to Borough Engineers Report, which we have none. Solicitors Report.
I actually have one item for you guys. It also involves Seven Generations Charter School. Shane is read in on this. This is the first year hearing of it. So two months ago, we passed the ordinance moving them for the resolution allowing them to move forward on the school construction project. They have subsequently signed their development agreements. However, they mistakenly got a letter of credit from the Seven Generations Corporation as opposed to the Seven Generations Foundation, which actually the foundation is what owns the building and has signed all the agreements and done all the development work. I've had some conversations with their attorney. Typically, there's nothing that prevents us from accepting that letter of credit. However, to be safe to the borough, I would want to review the financial documents of Seven Generations Incorporated, which holds them up. So I wanted to bring this to the borough council's attention, and I'm going to suggest that they get a new letter of credit just from the foundation because they're the ones who hold the land. That is the secured asset. That is where we would prefer the money come from.
So this would be at our next council meeting then?
You don't have to do anything. I'm just bringing this to your attention so you're aware of it.
Yeah, and so I agree, Mr. Ulrich, that you're going to need to look at their financials because I think what you're going to see is the foundation has close to zero financial assets and the schools where the financial assets are because of the tax allotments, et cetera, that come from East Penn School District and who that money goes to. So I'm imagining that's probably why the letter of credit came through the school itself. But I had said to Mr. Ulrich that thing's above my pay grade, that I would prefer he take a look at that and recommend to us.
Okay.
Can I ask a question?
Right.
So if it can't be done that way, which it probably can't, what Shane just said, can we address it through co-borrowers?
I couldn't hear what you said. Can you?
I'm sure Shane's 100% right why it's in the other company's name.
Oh, and I'm sure he's correct. We all, that's what Mr. Wilson said.
Can it be addressed through just co-borrowers?
Yes, it can. There's nothing the council has to do. I just want to make sure that we're being protected. So typically we would ask for it to be in the foundation's name, but if they have the money in the corporation, then that is what we will accept, but we'll have to review it. We just can't take their word for it.
Okay. Anything else for solicitors report?
That's all I have. Progress.
If you do Zoom meeting every time we have a meeting from Reading, how much does that save us on the borough bill?
That's fair.
It took him almost as much time to turn his computer on as it does to drive in.
Okay, thank you.
Remember, I'm driving from the office in Allentown when I'm coming to you guys, so it doesn't really cost you anything.
All right, thank you.
It's just me possibly getting in an accident on the way home, Brent.
All right, unfinished business part one. We have ordinance 1230, an ordinance enacted by the council of the Borough of Emmaus, Lehigh County, Pennsylvania, repealing ordinance number 1011, amending Little Lehigh Creek Watershed Act 167 Stormwater Management Ordinance as recently amended pursuant to the Stormwater Management Act of October 4, 1978, 32 PSPL 864, parentheses number 167, section 680.1. It's Latin.
That's SEC. It stands for insequential.
Thank you. And repealing all prior ordinances or sections inconsistent therewith. Now, we had our first reading June 20th, and this will be our second reading. Is there any discussion that anybody wants to bring up on this ordinance?
This is, Mr. Dufresne asked me to look at this last time, and I believe Mr. Hart as well. You both asked me to look and see if there were any changes that would affect current residents. I reviewed it. There's really nothing here that will modify for existing residents, other than if they already have stormwater BMPs in place, they will be required to maintain those. They can't change them, but that is pretty standard under all stormwater ordinances.
All right, thank you. So would somebody like to make a motion to approve ordinance 1230? Councilman Hart, second by Councilman Dufresne. Any more discussion or questions? This is a roll call vote. Councilwoman McManaman,
Aye.
Councilwoman Baumgartner, Councilman Hart,
Aye.
Councilman Dufresne,
Aye.
Councilman Balliet,
Aye.
Councilman Layberg, aye. There are 6 ayes. We have no new business. We have no unfinished business part 2. Does anybody have anything to bring forward that is not on the agenda? Hearing none, Madam Mayor's report.
Thank you. Your iPads this evening, I have proclamation 2022-542, Mass Pennsylvania Founders Day, July 30th, here and after. Whereas on July 30th, 1747, 44 individuals established a Moravian congregation that evolved in the Democratic community, later to be named and known as Mass. And whereas the community continued to develop and care for its citizens and encourage its growth. And whereas in 1759, the first home was established in the community. And whereas the Mass Heritage Alliance educates the population and celebrates the history and development of our community and desires that the community be aware of its tradition. Now therefore, I, Leanne Gilbert, Mayor, Borough of Mass, proclaim July 30th of each year henceforth as a special day to show appreciation of settlers in 1747 who established a Moravian congregation of 44 people that evolved into the village of Mass, Pennsylvania, which we enjoy and govern. Let this day of each year, here and after, be a celebration of the legacy of Mass, a witness whereof I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the Borough of Mass, Pennsylvania to be affixed this 18th day of July 2022. And no, I did not write this one.
Hitherto.
No, I did not write this. Other than that, progress.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Committee reports. Public Works Committee Chairman Anders, is somebody, well, I guess I can do it, or you want to do it, Chad?
I'll take a stab at it.
All right, I'll let you start it.
All right, so we are making a recommendation to hire a new full-time employee. His name is Robert Lynch. And I would say I would make that. Shane, do you need a motion to hire him?
Yeah, so what we would need, Mr. Balliet, would be a motion pending on the outcome of his background check.
Yep.
His tentative start date is August 8th.
So move, Chad.
I would put that in the form of a motion.
Motion by Councilman Balliet, seconded by Councilman Hart. Any discussion? I was on the interviewing committee, and we're excited about this, and we'll be welcoming when he comes to the borough. So
Yeah, just kind of a quick background on Mr. Lynch. I know you guys have his resume and the answer to his questions. He has a history of construction. I mean, he owns his own small construction company. So he can do, he can use equipment. He's also, though, kind of that jack of all trades. He can do carpentry, he can do plumbing, he can do a lot of the different kind of work that we do in the Public Works Department. So yeah, we're excited. I think he can be he can have a pretty immediate impact in the department.
I agree.
I would also like to thank our new Public Works Director for taking the time, and along with Sarah and Shane, with going through all of the applications we got. Shane said that we had over 700 applications, and going through, Brent, as you know, that first round of interviews plus the second round, very qualified individuals and the different people with their talents and stuff like that. I'm really glad that we didn't hire and we kept looking to find what we were looking for. Not that everybody we interviewed was very qualified, but we're just looking for that special person, and I think we found him.
I agree. All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? There are 6 ayes.
I think you're gonna see our meeting notes. Meeting notes are attached. The next meeting is gonna be actually, the July 20th meeting is canceled. We do not have a meeting this week. It was canceled.
Okay.
So I guess our next meeting will be in August. And with that, I'll report progress unless anybody has any questions.
Can I just ask about tree experts and arborists? Do you ever, for these applications with Public Works, do you ever get anyone that has experience with tree trimming, coming from like Catskill or?
So I can only tell you, I've seen the finalists for interviewing, so that would be more Shane or Public Works, whether some of them are maybe tree.
Yeah, no, so we get people that apply that have worked for Aspen, trimming trees, cutting trees down. That's a far cry though from being an arborist. Understand, like, yeah, they're a whole different, it's a whole different world.
A girl too.
So, but yeah, we do sometimes get people that apply that are in the tree trimming. I wouldn't call it trimming. Usually, when an aspen gets in there, it's hack and cut.
Well, the other comment that came up was possible training for 1 or 2 Public Works staff. And is that an opportunity for us to have, if the commission comes up with something on training, is that a possibility? So I would like at least Public Works to.
Well, that's a conversation to have with the Public Works Director, because that's something that I'm sure he'd be more than happy and more than willing to facilitate and have done.
All right, Health, Sanitation and Codes Committee, Chairwoman McManaman, and if I might, before you start, ordinance 1230 was already passed, but we have a resolution 2022-29 involving the Phoebe home, and I would just like to ask that they come forward. I'm sorry, Chad. I saw Terry's name and I went with it.
Hey, I was gonna let her run with it.
So, Chairman Valiant, I'm sorry. I'm gonna just ask that the Phoebe home come forward and present what exactly they would like us to do here, since this is new to us. Thank you. And if you could state your name for the record so we can have it.
Sure. Good evening. My name is Brian Kosolansky. I'm with the law firm Stevens and Lee, and we represent Phoebe as bond counsel.
Tom Bear, Chief Financial Officer for Phoebe.
And the resolution that you have before you tonight is really a tax code requirement. And what it relates to is whenever you spend taxes and bond proceeds, it has to have the governmental approval of this location where the project or where the money is going to be spent. In 2014, Phoebe did a financing for their facility in Richmondton. There's about a little over $800,000 of that money left. They'd like to take that money, and the bank has agreed to it, and apply it towards the Chestnut Ridge development. So since that was not part of the original financing in 14, we had to go through this approval process. No funds of the borough and no liability on the borough. It's really just satisfying that tax requirement so that we can use that money in advance.
Okay. Mr. Solicitor.
Yes.
Rather lengthy resolution. Can I just read the number and ask for a motion?
Yes, you can.
All right. Would somebody like to make a motion to approve resolution 2022-29? Councilman Hart, is there a second? Councilwoman McManaman. Any more discussion or questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
No, it's a resolution. All right. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
There are 6 ayes. Your resolution is approved.
Thank you very much.
And I will turn the rest of the committee over to Chairman Valiant. Sorry about that earlier. And sorry you had to wait so long. Usually our meetings are done in 30, 40 minutes, and it's just that we meet once a month during the summer, so we have a lot to address.
Have a nice evening, everybody.
Thank you.
Take care.
Mayor, I think your name is on that resolution, just so you know.
It is.
All right, Chairman Valiant, next on your agenda.
Sure. So the other thing on our agenda, we haven't had a meeting for the last, I guess, 3 months. There's been a lot of other stuff going on and not much to put on an agenda. And this was not discussed in a committee meeting, but it is it's a 1-year contract extension with Whitetail. We had a total of 6 years to extend with those guys, and our contract renewal is up. If we didn't want to do this, we'd have to put everything out to bid, do all that. But with the way that pricing is, this is actually a really good deal for our residents. And I would make the recommendation that we would extend another 1-year contract with these guys.
In the form of a motion?
Yes, sir.
Motion by Councilman Balliet, seconded by Councilwoman Baumgartner. Yep, so we're lucky that we have this because this is our 4th year to contract and we can have 2 more extensions taking us through
2024.
Correct, and that's fantastic. That helps us out because we know it's not getting cheaper. So Councilman Dufresne.
So this is about a 2% increase from this year, correct?
Yes, and nothing's going up 2%.
I just.
I mean, that's
So
a
it's
good
about
thing.
a 2%, just to go on record, it's about a 2% increase.
Yeah. So, anyone else? All those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed? There are 6 ayes.
Next on my agenda is a credit reduction request for a project at 118 North 2nd Street. And I would make that recommendation upon final engineer's report that they have met all their expectations and stuff like that. And I'd put that in the form of a motion.
Motion by Councilman Balliet. Is there a second? Councilwoman McManaman. Discussion, questions? All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? There are 6 ayes.
Our next meeting will be July 27th. We will have a meeting on that day. We have a few things to go over. So if John and Terry will be available, we'll be doing that at 4:45 via Zoom. And with that, I'll report progress.
Thank you. Parks and Recreation Committee, Chairwoman Baumgartner.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have one item for official action. We are slowly building our Recreation and Entertainment Commission with new volunteers, which we're grateful for. So I'd like to put in form of motion the appointment of Allison Spagnoletti to the Recreation and Entertainment Commission with the term to expire June 7th, 2025.
Motion by Councilwoman McManaman. Is there a second? Baumgartner, I'm sorry. Second by.
So moved.
Any more discussion or questions?
Who seconded it, Brent?
It was Councilwoman McManaman. There was a delay on you, Chad, or else I would have made you
Oh, no worries.
lost on the delay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? There are 6 ayes. Sorry about that. I'm getting tired.
Say, thank you to Ellen, Louise, Allison, who's a new member of the Entertainment Commission. They've been putting on great concerts. Sarah is often there as well, so thank you. And your husband for joining. Some council members as well, Terry, Roy, has to come. And then last concert, we also had the Emmaus Rotary Club and Emmaus Lions Club had some volunteers. So they've been putting in the work and the concerts have been going well. So I appreciate everybody. And I recommend checking out our concert series when you can this summer. That's it for Parks and Recreation. Our next meeting will be Tuesday, August 2nd at 4:45 p.m. via Zoom for progress.
Thank you. Public Safety Committee, Chairman Hart.
Thank you, Mr. President. We do not have a meeting during the month of June. However, there are 2 action items for your consideration. Sergeant Adam Polster and Sergeant Adam Nobla have completed or about to complete their 1-year probationary status as sergeants. We have a recommendation from the Chief of Police, Chief Apgar, that they have successfully completed that. The recommendation is to move them to full status. Unless there are any objections, I'll take it as one motion for both of them. I move that they be moved to full status as sergeant.
Motion by Councilman Hart. Is there a second? Councilman Dufresne. Congratulations to both of them. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? There are 6 ayes.
Good thing we voted positively for
Our next meeting is
It'd be a first.
Thursday, July 28th at 9 a.m. Via Zoom with that report progress.
Thank you. We have General Administration Committee, that's myself. We, as you know, we have our water situation that we've been trying to get a handle on and trying to make progress with so that we can make adjustments to meet the requirements for our water. And as you know, it's been a struggle, even though we're trying our best to get the information we need to make the decisions. Unfortunately, we're still struggling, so we would like to hire a local hydrologist to consult us with certain issues that will help us make those decisions. And so I would like to ask for a motion to approve. There is an actual company, Gannett Fleming, and they do work with the LCA currently. And we'd like to have a motion to approve them to help us with whatever information they can help us make decisions. Councilman
moved.
Hart,
So moved.
second. Councilwoman Baumgartner. Any more discussion? Shane, you want to add anything to this, or I cover it pretty good?
Yeah, I'm still, I mean, we need to sit down with them and figure out the exact scope of work that they're going to do for us. I mean, I have an idea, but what I'll do if you approve them as a hydrologist is I will come back to the Budget and Finance Committee with different scopes of work options and what the price tags would be for those scopes of work.
Okay. All right, everybody understand? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? There are 6 ayes. Next is council chamber change of order for the building program at Borough Hall. You have 3 attachments here to look at for the option. I think the second tab has the layout. You can get that, and the third tab has the cost of about $10,585.20 for the change order. Would anyone like to start with discussion on this? I know there's someone council that aren't certain that it's necessary, but there's others that feel that we're doing the whole building, that why shouldn't we do that also? So I'd like to have somebody start with the discussion on this.
Well, so I'll start. First and foremost, what it doesn't include is a price for electric upgrades. That price, it doesn't matter if you put new desks in or not. They did not spec out the electric plugins for the walls in front of the desks anyway, so that has to happen no matter what. I do know that in their quote they mentioned that it didn't include for some of the electric changes. That was going to be done no matter whether you approve this or not. So essentially, what this does is it creates, it gets rid of what will be the handicap accessible ramp. It gets rid of the platform, and it makes it all one setup with a countertop type of desktop is what the change order proposes to do.
All right, with that being said, does anybody else have any comments or motion? Councilman Hart.
I'll make a motion that we approve the expenditure out of the allowance.
There's a motion by Councilman Hart. Is there a second?
So moved.
Who was the second?
Councilman Valley, second. Any more discussion?
I only got one question in here. In their proposal, it said it's $2 for 10 days. We passed 10 days, we're still no price. Good, right?
Yeah, the price is fine.
All right, I'm just gonna say I'll be voting against it, as many of you on at least the GA committee knows that there's nothing wrong with our old desk. I know we're putting all new stuff in, but I just don't see, I can't look a taxpayer in the face and say, we need this. It's not a need, it's a want. And I don't care about prestige of how we look. I really don't. I could take that $10,000 and put it in a road instead. Granted, it may not get you very far on the road. So That's all I'm gonna say. So, anybody else comments? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Nay. The two opposed are Councilwoman Gardner and Councilman Ladenburg. Motion approved 4-2. All right, so you have our meeting minute notes, and do we have our next meeting this Thursday, Shane, or are we canceling?
So that's up to you. Thursday, I will be somewhere between Iowa and Wyoming, so I probably will not have reception.
Is there anything pressing that we need to address?
No, I don't believe so.
All right, so then I will be canceling GA meeting and I'll report progress. Budget and Finance Chairman DeFrank.
So we have a few items for action tonight. The first is the police department new server. So if you look in the meeting minutes here, so it was brought up at the last meeting that we had here that they were planning server in 2023 because that's the end of life essentially. If we order it now, it probably won't get delivered until December or possibly January. But we could also save $17,000 on the server here. So I'm making a motion to approve the purchase of the police department server with the lease payments starting in January, and that will match our budget cycle on cash outlay. So that's my motion.
Motion by Councilman DeFrank, second by Councilman Hart. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes 6-0.
Yeah. I just, before he moves on, I just want to make the comment, council, that it's unfortunate that we're kind of stuck doing these kinds of things because of the current condition of lead times on everything that we're doing. I just got notice that the ambulance that was supposed to be delivered this year is not going to be here this year, even though we ordered it September of last year. So I think you're going to probably see some more things pop up in the near future that you're gonna need to consider. And what I would say is that's why these 5-year plans that we got from the departments are so crucial, especially right now during these times, because we gotta remember what you vote to purchase here has to be put into the budget for next year now.
Okay.
Okay, next, excuse me, next item is the sewer camera truck purchase. So also brought up at the last meeting was that a new truck that was on our budget for 2022 that we did not approve for 2022. We now have the opportunity to purchase the demonstration vehicle. They also actually brought it here to show us, and Councilman Valiant was there for the presentation, but they're willing to sell us that unit. And instead of being about a $467,000 cost with an unknown delivery date, because of the supply chain issues right now, we could actually get this relatively quickly. So what the committee discussed here is their proposed price to us is $405,775. We would get immediate delivery, including all the necessary equipment. We did ask the question that is this vehicle exactly the vehicle that we would purchase? It has all the equipment, all the everything needed to run it. And we were told by Director of Public Works, yes. Correct, Shane?
You and I understood and heard the same thing.
Okay, so there's only 350 miles on here. So we talked about where this money could come from. We received a $1.13 million COVID grant previously, and this is an item that grant can be used for. And we do know we need to do a lot of work on our sewer system. And the truck that we bought 2 years ago does not do the same stuff here. There is not one vehicle that does both. So it does take 2 vehicles to do this stuff, is what we're told. So I'm making a motion to approve the purchase of the demo sewer camera truck for a maximum purchase price of $405,775. And we will use the funds from the COVID grant of $1.13 million.
There's a motion on the floor. Is there a second? Is there a second? Councilman Hart, I believe our motion and recommendation from the committee was 400,000.
But up to the maximum 405,000.
Okay, but did you say that in your?
Yes.
Oh, up to, okay.
Yep.
I missed it then. And the other question I asked during committee was the actual warranty, is it from the same length of time from when we receive it, or is it from since the truck has been the demo?
So I don't have that answer for you right now, Mr. Levenberg.
Okay,
I know that Mr. Carl was going to be asking the dealer that question.
okay.
We did ask the Works Director to go back and ask for that to be changed. It's only 350 miles on it. So Shane, do I need to amend my motion?
No, I don't believe so. We gave him a directive.
Okay, all right. Any other questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? There are 6 ayes.
So Shane, this is the first use of that grant, correct?
Yes,
Okay. And obviously Christine has tracked that for grant purposes, correct?
correct. You know, the rest of that grant money, I'm going to assume it's going to be towards the water system.
Okay. All right, next in your packet is the 2022 budget performance report. There was really, other than fuel costs and, some of the normal things, there was nothing that Shane was overly concerned about right now, correct?
Yeah, correct. I mean, it's like everybody else at home right now. We're getting dollared to death because of where we are with inflation.
So next on the list is the bill list. So I have resolution 2022-30 resolved by Borough Council payment of the July 18th, 2022 bill list as follows. Bill list $1,377,182.91. Payroll is 13 and 14, $350,352.18. Payroll tax is $111,740.86 for a total of $1,839,275.95 done this 18th of July 2022, and I put that in the form of a motion.
Motion by Councilman Dufresne. Is there a second? Councilwoman Baumgartner. Any questions on the bill list? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? There are 6 ayes.
All right, and then you can see in there the significant revenue and expenses for June, and then in the meeting minutes, you can see that Christina is making some progress on some automation in her department, so it's some positive movement in that direction. Shane, are we going to have the budget and finance meeting on Thursday?
Yeah, again, I'll be a little bit closer by 11 a.m. To Wyoming, but that's up to you. I probably will not have reception.
Let's keep it and see if it's a 5-minute one, it's 5 minutes. You go.
Well, and at the very least, I mean, Mrs. Jared Eaton has access to start the meeting, and to host a meeting. So that's the same with any committee.
It's only 5 minutes.
Sure.
Okay. All right, so our next meeting then will be Thursday, July 21st at 11 a.m. on Zoom. Progress.
Community Relations Planning and Development Committee Chairwoman McMahon.
Thank you, Mr. President. We do have several items for official action. Last month, as you remember, we discussed the Lehigh University Business, Small Business Center to be housed on-site in the borough for 1 or 2 times a month. So we had Daryl Wentz from a consultant from the SBDC with us at our last meeting, and he went over and reviewed all of the suggestions that they would have. They need a space to house so that they can have meetings with businesses, but many times he actually meets on site at businesses. So we are making a recommendation, and I'd like to make a motion to approve the space at Borough Hall twice a month for SBDC's use.
Motion by Councilwoman McMahon, second by Councilwoman Baumgartner. Any more discussion?
I just want to comment that They do have an alternative space. We did discuss that with a business in town, so altitude marketing. Yes.
All right, all those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? There are 6 ayes.
The next item for action is the appointment to the Emmaus Arts Commission for a term to expire October 16, 2023 by Allison Spagnoletti. Allison comes to us by way of Parks and Rec as well. It's nice to dovetail on what Ms. Baumgartner said. It's nice to get committee people and then they want to actually springboard onto a second committee. So I'd like to put that in form of a motion.
Motion by Councilwoman McManaman. Is there a second? Councilwoman Baumgartner. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? There are 6 ayes.
The next item is appointment to the Emmaus Arts Commission to a term to expire October 16th of 2025. We'd like to appoint Allison Fox to the Emmaus Arts Commission.
There's a motion by Councilwoman McManaman. Is there a second? Councilwoman Baumgartner. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? There are 6 ayes.
There are some exciting things happening with CRD. We are planning the Emmaus Vision 2030 virtual presentation. We have a tentative date as Thursday, September 1st at 3 p.m. This will be a virtual event. We are working on the program right now. We will include visioning committee as well. And we will be sending out a save the date, and we're really looking forward to this. So our meeting notes are attached, and our next meeting is Monday, August 8th at 4:30 p.m.
Thank you. We had 3 sets of boards and commission meeting notes to read to update yourself. Personal appeals part 2. We have no one here in the audience. Is there anyone? Sarah will unmute our virtual guest. Is there anyone that has a personal appeal? If so, speak up now. I don't think we have any guests. Oh, we have our East Penn Press reporter. All right, hearing none. Oh, and the chief price also. All right, hearing none, we'll move on to Borough Manager's report.
Yeah, so I hired Caleb Snyder and Austin Lentz back as lifeguards. They've been kind enough. We had a little bit of a shortage going on, and they were kind enough to fill some shifts for us. So we hired them back as returning lifeguards. Other than that, as you know, I've been working from home for the last week due to the same reason why everybody else would be working at home from home for a week. But moving forward, starting tomorrow, I am on vacation and won't be returning until August 8th. I will be on the other side of the country in the beautiful state of Montana. So there will be some meetings that I'll be able to get on to, but I don't know if we're crazy or not, but we're driving. So there will be a whole bunch of 8-hour days on the road.
We're crazy. Driving to Iowa is nuts. You're driving to Montana.
Yeah, and back. So, well, maybe back. You know, who knows? I might dump the vehicle and fly back if it's as painful as I think it's going to be. But nonetheless, we'll be back on August 8th. Sarah will be prepped with things that she needs to get done. She'll also be able to sign documents in my absence, as we have that in an ordinance. The assistant manager can do that. And she can sign checks, all those administrative things that can be handled. She can take care of those things as well. So if you have anything you need from me, send me an email. I'll have it with me. But for the most part, I'm hoping that for at least 5 days, I'll have a fishing rod in my hand in the mornings. So I'll report progress unless you have questions for me.
Mr. Shane, could we get, I guess it would be June's zoning hearing board minutes?
Yeah, Mrs. Jared, could you send that out to them, please? I'm not sure if they had a June meeting.
We did.
Yeah, if you could send those out to them, I'd appreciate it.
Well, have a great vacation, Shane.
Thank you.
Progress?
Yeah, I'll report progress. Other than you guys just need to have a, I think it'll probably be a brief executive session.
So brief executive session will be on contract negotiations, just an update, and then we will adjourn when we come back. When we do go into executive session, we'll have a brief moment where the reporters can ask questions that they want before we go into executive session.
You
So,
already left.
huh?
You already left.
Well, that eliminates that step.
There goes.
All right, so we're going into executive session. All right, we're coming out of executive session and reconvening at 8:51. Under president's business, I thought of a question, Shane. Are we at least going to sell the desks that we currently have so we can help pay for some of the new ones?
Brent, we were going to engrave your name on them.
I don't need sarcasm. I'm being serious. Are we going to sell them?
Brent, I haven't gotten past the change order yet. I haven't put a business proposal together for anything like that. I would think that once we put the building together, there's probably a lot of stuff that we have in storage that we can probably sell.
Okay. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So
Councilman Hart, second by Councilman Dufresne. All's in favor?
I-
Aye. Those opposed? Meeting adjourned at 8:52.
I want to apologize to council. I had